What's up, my man? What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing, man? Good to see you again.
Another another day, another 50 cent.
Yes, sir. 25 cents for me, man. But we're good.
There you go. There you go. Okay, man. So we're gonna get right into it today. We got some things we want to get off our chest. We've been talking about different things here lately, but we haven't delved in politics a whole lot in the last couple of weeks. So we're gonna go back in there because, as you know, the man in the White House give us a lot to work with. So give us the particulars and get us started, Sullivan.
Yeah, well, everybody, welcome back to our show, man. We took a little hiatus last week, but welcome back. Before I get started, I want to suggest people subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get all of our fresh content. We put our message up on social media, Spoutable. We don't mess with X, and we are getting ready to get into Spotify, so audio only. So follow us and keep checking us out. And as Tony said, we're going to talk a little bit about our president and this war, and then we're going to get started.
Do it now, or I'll hunt you down. Smash like. Do it.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. One of my first questions to you tonight, Suleiman, is how did we get here? How did America get in this position?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty, it's pretty simple. Is when you have a child and you put a child into the most powerful position in the world, and you have yes men behind him. This is what it gets you into. The reality is that the last time this guy was in office, he pulled us out of the nuclear agreement that the entire world supported. Pulled us out of it. We had access to the Iranians' country, to their nuclear facilities, what they were building, the nuclear grade material. We had access to all of that on a regular basis. Iran agreed to that. And he came in because he didn't like President Obama and he wanted to turn away from what President Obama had negotiated, and he pulled us out of it. So now we're in a situation where Iran's like, look, I'm not going to sit back and not build weapons to protect us. We're going to build weapons that will protect our country. And this was a perfect reason or example for him to go in and do what they want. But we also, us blindly running behind Israel. Israel starts more wars over there with their allies than anybody in the world, and the United States runs right behind them. Our troops are dying for Israelis. Why? I'm not Israeli. I don't live in that country. I didn't start the war. Why are American troops, American weapons, American planes, American bombs fighting a country that hasn't bombed us? I always say that I think that the United States needs to reevaluate our allies and our relationships with Israel. Israel is an out of control country. And the reason that they're out of control is because they have the United States of America standing behind them. And we need to address that as a country.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that second part up about Israel and how we blindly follow Israel lead. I would go so far as to say, let me, before I get into my little rant on that, because I got a lot to say about that, and for some reason, it's downright un-American if you talk about Israel in a bad light.
Yep.
It's downright un-American in some quarters of America, especially conservatism and uh, I. Uh, anyway, let me go through this, a little bit of this. The Israel-Iran war, 12-day war so far, was a skirmish that I believe, in my opinion, Israel came up with. Why all of a sudden did they turn their attention to Israel when they done bombed Gaza into smithereens and, in my opinion, once again, have committed numerous war crimes in that little country, and as soon as they done blew up all the hospitals in Gaza almost, and as soon as Iran hit one of their hospitals, they were like, "Oh, why ain't nobody mad? They hit a hospital. You done blew up every hospital in Gaza there is almost." So and nobody talks about it, and our politicians seem like they just crazy. The Democrats alike. Democrats are afraid to talk about Israel. Republicans gonna support them. I think if they went and bombed Florida, they would support Israel. You know, and it just seems like a lot or most of Democrats are afraid to talk about Israel in a bad light also. But getting back to the war, how we got there because Israel turned their attention to Iran and out of nowhere start bombing. Uh, we tried to save face by saying we knew they were doing it, but we didn't know they were doing it. The president himself had to walk back a statement where he said we ain't got no involvement in it and we didn't know what was going on. But then I guess when his advisors told him he looked stupid by saying that, how can you be the most powerful man on the world and don't know when one of your biggest allies are not telling you what they're doing? So he had to walk that back. So by going in there and turning their attention to Iran and then saying the things that he said on national TV about glorifying Donald Trump is a leader that's not going to give up an opportunity to finish the job. That was his way of goading him into sending our bombers over there and bombing those bunkers and everything. So by involving our military, we escalated the tensions in the Middle East. And the risk of a wider war is always here. I don't even want to talk about the politics of it. The economy, the economics, and the strategic cost of being at war in the Middle East will only get the rich richer again. Once again, um, we've been in a constant state of war for the last 10, 12, maybe 15 years. We haven't been in a war uh, uh, specifically, but we've been in a constant state of war where we're always fighting somewhere. And as you know, war or the act of war is a criminal enterprise that get our country that get some companies our military equipment, Boeing, and all those companies that build military ammunitions and stuff. They get rich off of it. Point blank. Period. They get rich off of it. Um, the stock market is another thing. It becomes volatile, and the people with money, with disposable income, start buying into the stock market at low prices, knowing that at some point in time, because we don't want to be in a wider war, that we're going to pull back, and knowing that they're going to make a lot of money in a short period of time. These are the things I see why we're where we are. And the main reason is what you said before. Israel is the main reason we're over there. They've decided that they want to do something once and for all. And I just can't see an ending to it, That's my little two piece on it. I think you're muted. Suleiman, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right.
I don't have anything else to add to that really, other than what you're saying is 100% true. I mean, I'm tired of Americans fighting Israeli wars. If Israel wants to go to war with its neighbors, then let them go to war, and let's see what happens. And then we'll pick up the chips after it's all over. But I mean, for us to be sending bombers into a country, a known country that's been in existence for a very long time, because they have, because one of our allies decides to go and bomb a country. And I go back to what I said from the beginning is none of this will be happening if Donald Trump and Republicans did not pull out of the agreement for UN inspectors to go in and to check for nuclear grade building from Iran. And that was set up purposely. Iran has said that we do not want nuclear weapons, but we will not sit back while our neighbors and everybody else, our enemies, are building nuclear bombs, and we're trying to be peaceful. Iran has said that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why they agreed to the inspectors. But Donald Trump decides, I want to pull him out, because what it does is it sets up exactly what he wanted. He wants to be the big hand's ass on the ground and say, I was able to go and bomb, Iran, or I'm able to send United States military members into war. That's all it's about, is him feeding his ego. And you're going to get the whole world involved in a war over nothing. I mean, Russia's already basically told him, we're going in on the side of Iran.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
And China's already said the same thing. So we're going to go to war with Russia and China over Israel? Yeah. I mean, come on. I don't understand. I cannot believe that our allies, Germany, France, the UK, all those guys are going to say, yes, we're going to do that. We're going to go to war, because it's closer to them than it is to us.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I like I said, I think it's just this president and his ego, and Republicans that are around him have to prove that they're strong. They're so weak as people and as men. This is their way of saying, we're strong. We're going to send our military over and bully a country that we know we can defeat if we go to war with them. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit all of it, all the main points right on the head. First and foremost is Donald Trump calling himself solving a problem that he created in the beginning.
Yep,
that's all he's doing. Because the peace agreement was done by Barack Obama, all of a sudden it's not good at all.
Right.
You can't stop nuclear weapons from being built by a peace agreement. Yep. But guess what they're trying to do right now? Broker a peace agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're going right back to what you said, right?
It's always them twisting themselves in a pretzel, trying to justify the actions of this one man.
This is what Republicans do.
Yeah,
Republicans say, let's go in and break something,
and then let's fix it and tell the world how great we are.
Right, or and then complain. Well, and then complain about it.
Yeah,
complain about something you broke.
Yeah,
and then they want to talk about fixing. I mean, if you look at just to get off topic for a second, the Doge thing.
Yeah,
right? Exactly. They bring in Elon Musk and his clowns and Doge, and they break everything that they can break in the federal government. And now, what do you hear from Republicans complaining? All you hear about them is complaining about this. Yes. This is not getting done. That's not getting done. Well, that's because you broke it.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
it's ridiculous. It went off topic once again, but showing you how they do this is today the CDC here in Atlanta had a meeting with the brand new board members that they got. They cut to try to cut costs. They cut instead of 18 board members or 16 board members, they're down to 8 now.
Of course.
How much money is that going to save a corporation that big? Nothing. It's going to save them nothing. It's going to make them ineffective. So they had their meeting today with their stupid leader, RFK Jr. I guess that's his name. I don't know what his name. Yeah, RFK. He just and they talking about doing away with some immunization stuff. Man, America, since that man has gotten in office, America is no longer safer, like they say, overseas. We're more susceptible to diseases. Healthcare was affected by the recent Supreme Court thing that came down by telling states that they don't have to fund what's the name of that group that Republicans hate with a passion, that do abortion. Abortion is a small thing that they do.
Oh, you're talking about Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Getting old, man. They the Supreme Court ruled that states do not have to allocate Medicaid money to Planned Parenthood anymore. So those people that go to Planned Parenthood, not for just abortions, not for abortions no more, but they go there for mammograms now. They go there for all kind of testing, all kind of preventive medicine. They cannot pay by Medicaid anymore. So who does that affect? That affect Donald Trump people, the people out in the country that have one or two hospitals and can't get to a hospital. That's who it affects the most. But they're breaking everything. And this war, this fake war with a fake Secretary of Defense that they have, is just gonna once again break our image overseas and stuff. No, that I don't think I have any more energy for that, except for the Secretary of Defense is a fool, you know.
Oh, they are. I mean, like I said, these are guys, man, who, their entire lives, people have told them what they are, which are losers. Most of them don't have any women. Women have treated them like, what they are, which are losers their whole lives. They get a little bit of power, and then they start throwing it back in people's face. That's what they do. I mean, we've seen them our entire lives. Guys that have, get into certain positions and abuse the power because they've never had it before. They don't understand what soft power is. They don't understand that you don't have to worry about bombing people or beating people over the top of the head. You just have to be, across the board, even with everybody. And that goes to the whole world.
Yeah.
I mean, Iran cannot defeat the United States in a war. They recognize that. And when President Obama was in there, he got them to negotiate giving people access to their facility, which we reached the entire goal. Them bombing Iran, you're not going to be able to bomb every site that they're supposedly creating uranium. You're not going to be able to do it.
You're not.
Right. So you're basically, like you said, getting Northrop Grumman and Boeing and all these major corporations billions of dollars to build bombs. Or we're using all of our old equipment so they can start building and creating new equipment. That's all it is. It's what they used to call during the Kennedy administration, the war, I forgot what's called, the war program or the war, where companies want that. They want us to.
I call it. I call it. It's a criminal enterprise.
Right.
It's a criminal enterprise. The criminality is real.
Right.
They are putting our regular people's children's women and men in harm's way so that they can keep this criminal enterprise going where they're making money off wars and stuff, people suffering and everything.
I mean, it's just, it's unfortunate because, I mean, at some point we're going to start losing troops. We're going to have to put people on the ground and we're going to start losing troops. And the guys that you have running, the civilian part of our military are clowns. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead. To go to the next thing is like you were talking about domestically. I mean, what is it going to do, from a domestic standpoint?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at all these corporations, and I keep throwing Amazon. I throw Amazon under the bus. I mean, Jeff Bezos is a sellout. I mean, this dude is essentially kissed Donald Trump's ass. And, the amount of money that he's throwing behind, this man and showing up to his functions. I mean, it's incredible. It's corporate America, which corporate America has done in this country multiple times, is that they're more concerned about the bottom dollar and what their company can make. And they will get behind any evil person or sick president that will allow them to make money. And Amazon's a prime example of that.
Exactly. Talk. Can you? I'm trying to look something up. I had a feed I wanted to put out there, and can you talk a little bit about the risk of a wider spread war in the Middle East, which we don't? Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the Middle East. I mean, I think people need to read history. I mean, World War One and World War Two were started by small skirmishes between, you know, by small countries. I mean, you know, World War One is, you know, somebody murders, you know, one of the, you know, lords or kings in a country, and we all end up joining in it because of all the treaties that were in place at that time. I mean, World War One and World War Two was basically like, look, if Germany's attacked, Great Britain's going to join them, France is going to join them, the United States is going to join them. Everybody has to get in. And it's the same thing here. I mean, there are countries around the world, Russia and China, that make significant money off of oil and products that they sell to Iran. And if you destroy that country, you are affecting that country, Russia, China, India. You're messing with their domestic product. They are going to get in on the side of somebody of the country that is losing their domestic product.
Exactly.
And that's what I don't understand, that people who are in that White House don't get. We're in a world economy. You can't just go out and attack somebody and think that the rest of the world is going to say, oh, I don't have anything to do with it. No, you're going to have, Iran has allies, just like the United States has allies.
Mm-hmm.
Russia has allies, just like the United States has allies. China, these are formidable armies that can do damage to the United States. Russia is not going to just say, you know, we surrender. You know, China, there are 1 billion people. I mean, you're not going to just run onto the shores of China and the Red Army is just going to say, we surrender. There's going to be a battle and people are going to lose their lives. And that's what I don't understand. And why are we doing it? We're doing it based off a country of 3 million people that sits in the Middle East. The power and the might of the United States Army military is defending a country like Israel.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I always said, and I know people get mad, but I always said Israel has short man syndrome because they're so small and they're encircled by Arab countries and stuff. They always think somebody's trying to do something to them, when most of the time, anybody thinking about them. You know, you have these little breakout factions that's want to do harm to them. And yeah, Iran has played a role in rolling these little organizations that want to do harm to Israel. Yeah,
these proxy armies.
Yeah. So that's the word I'm looking for. They played a role in bankrolling them, but not to the point where you gonna send go and raid their country and it's a sovereign country, so those things don't matter anymore. I could see if I mean North Korea has been very more vocal about doing damage to America than Iran has. I mean, on a regular basis.
Yeah,
they're always.
You know what the difference? You know what the difference is? Israel doesn't have any benefit, or there's nothing in North Korea that Israel wants.
Exactly.
That's the only reason they were. North Korea is basically threatening to kill all Americans. They try to launch bombs at the United States, and we ain't going in and dropping no bombs in North Korea.
Nope, we ain't trying to get rid of their nuclear facility.
And here's my thing: is that the consequence, people forget, we have people in this world nowadays, man, and especially the United States, have such a small memory. Mm. United States was part of the European group that put Israel in an Arab area. Most of the people, almost all the people who live in Israel, they are not Israelis from that part. Their grandparents are from Europe.
Right.
So it kills me when I hear people say, oh, well, they're the chosen people and that's their land. Really? Because prior to 1920, no, it was not.
Yeah.
After the World War II, after what Germany did, they placed them there. And then what? You think all the people who lived there, because basically you just landed on top of somebody. It's like the Plymouth Rock coming here and landing on top of the Native Americans.
Yeah, yeah.
And then claiming that they were the first ones
They
to come.
they discovered America.
I mean, come on, it's the same thing in there. I mean, you basically put a bunch of people in there and told them they were better than everybody else around them. And then you wonder why you have conflict.
Yeah, exactly. And then they cause conflict themselves all the time because they got Big Brother America looking out for them, and they're scared that they're all the other countries don't want to poke the bear, America, so they do these little skirmishes with them. But I I just didn't see the reason why we would go in and bomb. I knew we would threaten it, but I knew there was a problem when Israel basically cleared the path for us to go in there. It was a good mission. I'm glad our airmen got in and got out safely. We didn't lose nobody, but there was no threat of us losing anybody because Israel had done all the dirty work. They had gotten rid of all the SAM missiles, surface to air missiles. So, well, nobody, they ain't had nothing to shoot. They ain't had nothing to shoot the planes down with.
No.
And the pilots. And the pilots were definitely not going to go up against American jets and stuff.
It's a losing battle, man. Iran knows it's a losing battle, man. They know it. But, they have to protect their country. They're no different than any other country. You have to protect their people, man.
Yeah.
And we're going in and picking a fight with a country that, can't touch us. They don't have any weapons that can travel across the ocean and hit the United States. None.
It ain't even a fair.
They don't have a navy that's even close or comparable to the United States. They can't fight us at sea. They can't fight us in the air. They can't fight us on the ground.
Nope.
So
not a fair fight. It really isn't a fair fight. And people that see this might say, "Hey, why are you taking up for Iran?" I'm not taking up for Iran. I'm speaking facts. I'm speaking.
No, I'm not taking up for Iran. I'm not, and I'm an American.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of Americans dying for Israel. I'm tired of Americans dying for other countries around this world. Fight your own battles.
And the sad thing about that is that's why Donald Trump ran on.
Right.
That's why a lot of people said they voted for him. And so what is he doing? He's going fighting a battle for Israel again.
Yeah, going to fight a battle for no reason. American blood could potentially be on the ground again in the Middle East for something that has nothing to do with us.
And the thing about it is, you go and you drop these bombs on a country, and you tear up all their self-defense mechanisms and stuff, and then you say, "Okay, let's talk about a ceasefire now."
Well, and they think that people are going to forget. That's what I always say, man, is that
they're not going to forget. And these people are patient as hell. They go hit us when we least expect it.
It endangers the lives of Americans overseas.
For years to come.
Right, none of those clowns that are sitting in the White House and none of those representatives are going overseas on vacation. They all are going over there with Secret Service protection. They got somebody standing beside them when they go overseas. But there are other Americans that go to the Middle East. There are other Americans that go to Asia or, Europe. Yeah. They're the targets. They're the ones that Iran says, "Hey, you know what? Let's hit an expat hotel."
We got two criminals causing havoc in the world just to keep themselves in office so they don't go to jail. Netanyahu is just as bad as Trump. He's under investigation for criminal activity.
Yeah, he's the same. He's the same. He's the same. Another guy never accomplished anything in his life, without somebody giving it to him or bullying his way into getting it. And now he's taking advantage of the power that he has in his country.
I really don't care for him. He don't care for Barack Obama. I think he don't like the fact that Barack Obama was president and he was black, and he had a Muslim name. He
Yeah, I mean,
that killed him. That killed.
I see Israel. I mean, you know, I tell people don't, you know, I don't forget, you know, watching what some of those people do to Africans that come to Israel and the way they treat Africans in Israel.
Yeah.
I don't forget that. I don't forget that at all.
Yeah, exactly. And so it is. I think we could talk about all the crazy stuff they've done over there all day. I think we've covered most of everything we need to cover on this. Is there any part of this you want to talk about? Domestic politics. We all know what that economic strategy, diplomatic repercussions. The diplomatic repercussions go without saying. You know, I don't know what's wrong with solving problems by diplomatic channels. I really don't. You know, I know you got to keep a strong army, a strong military, but if you can solve a problem by talking through it, what's the problem with that? Lastly, but not least, before we get up out of here, as far as our topic today, what's the exit strategy? How do America extricate themselves from this situation, and how do Israel navigate their peace? Because all the stuff they've done and all they can beat themselves on the chest, it's gonna have to stop sooner or later. And when they stop, what's gonna happen?
The reality is nothing has changed. They haven't accomplished anything. And the exit strategies, you already see it. I mean, as soon as we went and bombed Iran, everybody's out trying to come up with a solution, a ceasefire. Oh, let's have a ceasefire now.
Because the same thing we already had, right? The same thing we had. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's because we're not going to be able to bomb our way to a diplomatic solution.
Nope.
The diplomatic solution was President Trump and Marco Rubio destroying the diplomatic wing of the United States, which is the United States Agency for International Development. That's the diplomatic wing that we had around the world that they destroyed. So you destroy the only thing that we have to negotiate with people. And then you're in a situation where the only solution is somebody backs down or we go to war.
And now we can't have people there with eyes on everything.
Exactly. It makes no sense. That's why there were 30,000 people in USAID.
You know, when we were in DIA, the human intelligence branch of DIA was the most important branch of DIA. It really was, you know.
I mean, the stupidity and the incompetence that we have in our politicians today and in our White House today is incredible. Incredible. The incompetence, the lack of understanding of world geopolitics and how the United States has stayed as strong as we are in the world for as long as we've been. People who are currently in the White House don't understand it.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing ourselves a very grave disservice. I hope that we've answered some questions, brought to light some very important things for our audience out there about what war is about and what this little excursion that America wanted to dive into. And I think Donald Trump got into it with his arms twisted, with his ego stroked. And if he had to do it again, I don't believe he would do it again because I think he's out of his comfort zone. I know he's out of his comfort zone.
Right.
You know? So I just think that this is something that we fell into because of politicians. And the last thing I have before we go today, it has to do with politicians. And for everybody that follow politics, saw the winner of the New York Democratic mayor race, the Democratic primary, who is called a progressive. And a lot of Democrats, a lot of people in general are afraid that a progressive will become the mayor of New York, and that what I've heard is that there would be a mass exodus of New York City. Everybody's gonna leave the city because they don't want to be under a progressive and everything. So I'm sitting there thinking, so y'all are gonna leave what you call the greatest city in America because a progressive is leaving the city. This little thing I did, and it's not gonna take me but 5 minutes to go through, is the characteristics of a progressive candidate, the characteristics of a MAGA candidate, and the characteristics of a um, conservative candidate. And these are just general things that these people stand for. I'm going to go with progressive first. Listen to these and see what you think. They advocate for economic equity, universal health care, climate actions, criminal justice and reform, campaign finance reform, support for labor rights, inclusive democracy, equity in education. Okay, I'm almost there, and that's it.
It's all good.
That's it. Those are the things that progressive candidates normally stand for, and they work closely with Democratic Party. Now let's go over this other third wing, this third uh, uh, politics, MAGA, Make America Great Again. It's Donald Trump's wing of politics. These are what they stand for: America First policy, prioritize anything that deals with America; hardline immigration views, putting people in masks and grabbing people off the streets and stuff. Skepticism of globalism, meaning they don't like integrating with other countries and stuff. Populist rhetoric, strong law and order stance.
Mm-hmm.
Then and I hope you got that last word, stance. That don't mean they force law and order, that they got a stance for it. You know?
Right.
They can't be for it because their candidates are most of the time in trouble with the law. Cultural conservatism, meaning that they traditional Americans,
Right.
distrust of mainstream media. Saw a great example of that today with the sake there. Excuse me.
Right.
Election skepticism. Okay, whatever. Okay, now we got the conservative candidate. Respect for tradition and stability. Belief in individual responsibility. Support for free markets. Preference for law and order. Skepticism of big government. Emphasis on hierarchy and authority. Cautious approach to change. Strong in-group loyalty. So those are it. I thought I'd put them out there just so people can hear what these three branches of our politics basically stand for. I think you can be a hybrid. I've always I think the most popular hybrid that I know is General Colin Powell, when he said he is conservative, fiscally conservative, but uh, socially liberal.
Sure.
So you don't hear liberal anymore in the Democratic Party hardly. You hear progressive.
Mm-hmm.
So the wording has changed, but they treat progressives like the boogeyman, and I didn't see nothing on there that should be treated as a boogeyman. I really didn't. So
No,
anyway,
I mean this is this is domestic politics,
yeah,
and black folks in this country have always been fiscally conservative and socially liberal. That's something that Republicans have stolen, from our community, like a lot of other stuff that we've done in this country that's been stolen. That's always been black people. We've always been that way. Black people have always been conservative, fiscally, very good with taking care of our money and doing a lot with less. But we've always had a social conscience in this country. No Republican is a conservative, fiscally and socially liberal. None. Their thing is, we want to make as much money we can off the most vulnerable and poorest people in this country, and we want to work everybody to death and let the rich get richer and the more powerful stay powerful. That's what Republicans. That's their whole plan. It's always that way. They had no problem with bringing people into this country, including us, in bondage, but allowing other people to come in this country because they want them to work on their farms and they want them to work in their factories and stuff like that. But when those people start asking for rights and asking to be treated with respect, then all of a sudden here comes the backlash, which is what you're seeing right now, which is, oh, let's kick them all out. We don't need them here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But to go to the guy with the mayor guy, I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't know him. I haven't looked him up.
Me neither.
But I'm always cautious. I'm going to tell you, I'm very cautious when I see, people who claim to be progressive. They run for New York City, LA, places like that. And then what you're going to see is what you saw in Mayor Adams, is once he gets into office, he's going to change. And he's going to be the so-called conservative Democrat. Mm-hmm. And everything that he ran on, all the people that voted for him, particularly a lot of black folks, are going to vote for this guy. Mm-hmm. And he's going to change. Mm-hmm. Because you see it all the time. Mayor Adams, you see it. You see it with the senator up in Pennsylvania, Fetterman.
Yeah.
All these guys who get elected running on progressive programs and platforms, and then the second they get in office, they turn into what they really are.
Right.
And that's what concerns me with this guy.
Yeah. To be quite honest with you, also, I don't pay that much attention to New York politics anyway.
Yeah.
Really, but this seemed to be the story of the day. This guy coming back and beating all the flawed candidates that they have, because all the other candidates had flaws and stuff. So I just wanted to put that out there so people could hear. So give them our particulars once again, and we're going to get ready to get out on this in this segment and everything. And just tell them about what we're going to continue to try to do.
Okay. I'm sorry, say that again.
Yeah, just go ahead and send us off and everything.
Hey, like I said, man, we need people to subscribe. We're trying to reach a certain level. Comment on our content. We'll try to respond back to you. We love doing this. We'll be back next week. See us on Spoutable and YouTube. So we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. And we're going to try to do a Spotify this week, a audio only, and it's going to be a pilot. We're just going to see how it goes and everything. So make sure
do it now or I'll hunt you down.
So let's subscribe and do all that good stuff. Thanks a lot, sir. I appreciate it. See you later.
All right.
Always a good time. I got the new music coming in here pretty soon.
All right.
New music coming in.